Hi, Psych 370 and other interested parties. Um, this is Dr. Zeus coming out again. I realized that many of you are having struggling somewhat with a group presentation and learning how to get things together as a group. So I thought I would go ahead and do a basic tutorial about um, the different steps in the process. Also show you about how to communicate a little bit and trying to get people together. You probably figured it out by now, but this will help people in the future if I have to use this video again. And just to sort of bring the level down in terms of people's nervousness about trying to get this done, as well as the final paper. If you notice, I've really given you quite a bit of time to work on this. I've really cleared the board. The question of the weeks and the discussion board has really been built around contributing and developing material for this. So I'm trying not to make this double work. I eliminated quite a few of the questions from the last course assignment format just to focus on this. I'm more interested in your application, your creativity. You've already proven, one, that you understand or you're capable of understanding the material and content. You've done a good job with that. Two, you've showed that you have a critical awareness of content, ability to analyze. As I said before, the other two parts are creativity and compassion. Now, there's still going to be a little bit of academic stuff, but it's very, very brief. I'm asking you to bring in just one article, peer-reviewed academic article, to reference your negative emotion or your antisocial emotion. And I've even become broader on the positive article because there's so little research done on it. As long as it's a source that is a legitimate research source, like a TED Talk where you have an actual legitimate researcher like Brene Brown or someone that's talking about the emotion, guilt, shame, well, those are the negative ones, but the other part of it, confidence, empathy. There's plenty of work on empathy, for instance. You'll find those, and there's more and more work being done in positive psychology on those. So that's basically it. The other parts and the other steps have to do with your own biography, sharing that either virtually through individual contributions and posting to a common site, or together either meeting virtually over a teleconferencing call, or something like VSEE, which is spelled VSEE, which is where you can have different pictures in a video. You're going to have all your faces up on a screen for video when you're talking together. Or again, you do it by posting and by messaging each other, and then just designating someone to assemble the pieces, and then designating another person to go ahead and to narrate the presentation. So I'm going to basically go over those things today, so that everyone can calm and sort of understand what the layout is, and so you don't have to bang your get as nervous. Part of just working through, part of addressing emotions, just working through some of these more uncomfortable places. You can be assured I'm not going to be punishing people who have made the effort. The three things to emphasize again that I've emphasized is: one, everybody shares in the work. Two, everybody goes ahead and contributes some talent, some creativity to the situation. And three, you address the steps. That's what I'm looking for. If you have that, you'll do well in your presentation individually and as a group. So let's go ahead and go to the communication aspect of it. I'm going to go ahead and put my face in the corner here and just talk a little bit about this. A lot of you don't know this, I guess, but this is the messages thing. Some of you don't necessarily have listed numbers in the NAU site. So when you're going to create a message, and this is how anyone in the class can communicate. I know this because some of you have sent out class messages. You can click create a message, and under the two, if you just hit that, you can actually select the entire class or any individual member of the class and just select it over here into recipients, do your email, and then click submit. It will go out to everyone. Now, if you just want to select an individual person, just go on the person's name, Victoria, and then put it over there. Let's say that was Victoria. Okay, I'm going to put it back over again. So that's one way to communicate to anyone in the class. I thought everyone had understood this. I think not maybe everyone did understand this, and so that became a bit of a problem. In terms of where to post the group presentations, again, I'm a little bit new on this Blackboard Learn, and when I edit in one place, it doesn't transfer to another place. So when I clicked on group presentations, I had to redo, redo these things and realize, okay, group presentations, I went ahead and pasted and posted my one into the presentation step by step. The old description was in there before. Some of you let me know this, so I was like, ugh. So I did the presentation. Here are the 5 steps, okay? Now, as I mentioned before, you can do this 2 ways. The preferable way, I just sent out an email today, the preferable way is to get together virtually and do an emotional inventory as a group, where you actually are discussing your contrasting experiences around your area of concern, right? And your area of concern will be one of these 6 groups, okay? Now, if you're having trouble get together, okay, and remember there's an assignment in week 11 where you have to do steps 1, this is the introduction, your emotional inventory, and 3, where you're applying your discussion to a mutually decided upon emotional conflict, professional challenge, or life issue, okay? So that was in week 11, okay? And if you're having trouble get together and you're like worried that the group isn't going to come together, you can contribute that individually and assemble it afterward, okay? If you've been getting together as a group, some of you work together as a group and it was easy enough for you to get together again, and this is preferable, you could do it as a group and just have one document that each of you posts individually, the same exact document onto Blackboard Learn, okay? Where I would be, obviously you're getting the same grade in each one. So either way, I will have a record for you each individually in weeks 11 and 12. In week 12, we did the steps 3, 4, and 5, okay? I had you do that, I think, for question of the week, okay? Describe the nature of this class emotions from a work in this class and summarize current research understandings. Remember, I said with this, I expanded this a little bit. You don't have to go to current directions in psychological science to get your sort of negative or antisocial emotion. I actually looked over that and it was, you know, I think it could have been broader. So what I expanded that to is you can use any academic article that's from a peer-reviewed journal, not just a popular publication from a peer-reviewed journal. And you only need one for your entire presentation, okay? I'm making this important because I want you to really focus on the creativity and the compassion, okay? Compassion, again, is the group work, working with each other, learning how to discuss these issues as a group. You as professionals are going to need to do this with other colleagues and in group settings if you're doing workshops or if you're doing seminars or you're doing group consciousness raising, whatever it happens to be. So working together becomes an important and intrinsic part of your professional development. So that's why I'm really emphasizing those 2 things and de-emphasizing getting the academic background. I want some evidence of it, and you only need one article for the entire presentation that references your negative emotion or antisocial emotion, sadness, anxiety, anger, disgust, fear, shame, and these classes here, okay? And over here on your positive emotion, I would recommend that you look into positive psychology. We have a couple articles and chapters from that in this course. You can use those. You don't have to make more work for yourself. You can just select that right out. We had moral emotions, which covered a lot of these positive ones. You don't want to have to look something up, use that one. Don't make work for yourselves, please, okay? So you can use ones that are in this class. You don't have to go outside. A lot of you like things like TED Talks. Brené Brown and several others do actual clinical and academic research on this. They present it in a popular format, but it has actual research backing it. So, you know, that's what I would do. I mean, if you wanted to go to TED Talks, fine. Just make sure and maybe pick out one article that person has done from an academic journal or a serious study, and or even a book is fine. But it has to be a serious study of this, okay? And finally, you have that's groups in this steps 4 and 5. Again, these are just using your own points of view. If you're going as a group, right, connect to work to your lives, offer real life examples and contrasting views. Maybe you have different views as people, okay? If you're having trouble getting together, again, this is the second option. If you're having trouble get together, you would share these individually with each other, right? And you would supply them in week 12 to me so I can grade you, as well as the conclusion, developing strategies to share with the rest of the class, and then you would assemble it. Preferable, of course, is to discuss this as a group in virtual or in real life, as well as strategies. But if you're having trouble getting together as a group, then do it individually, share them in weeks 11 and week 12 in your assignments, and then get them together. Work with each other to pick the most important examples, right? Or I would suggest each person in the group offer at least one strategy. And you could bullet point these in a presentation. Again, you can split up the roles. One person could do the assembling. Another person could do the typing up on the bullet pointing of the strategies. Another person could actually go on Screencast-O-Matic if you weren't that familiar with the editing and do the full presentation by themselves. But again, that would have just been one role. Okay, the others would have contributed their roles. One typing up, another person assembling the material. Okay, so again, there are different ways to go at this. You don't, again, my three major points again are important. Okay, just one, that you've all shared in the work. Two, that you have contributed your creativity, you developed some kind of compassion, some kind of ability to work as a group. And three, that you have followed these steps. That's it. Believe me, 15 minutes goes by really fast. One or two major points per person in each one of these categories is going to constitute 15 minutes, I guarantee you. Again, you don't have to do it up to 15 minutes. 10 to 15 minutes is fine, okay? So less than 15 minutes. If you feel like you can do it in 7, fine, do it in 7. Usually it's a little hard to do it on under 10. So let's just call it 10 to 15 minutes, okay? Now again, if you notice, I did a run through on a group presentation using dealing with deadlines, okay? I gave you a little bit of an, example of what an introduction would look like, right? Describing the nature of the class of the emotion, right? I didn't actually pick out an article, but, I figured you can do that. Applying your understanding, right? Right? In this case, an issue that you could apply this notion of anxiety to was the issue of procrastination. All right, then I'm saying, okay, connected to your lives, right? This is where you might share in bullet point format your possible brainstorms and personal solutions to go beyond coping and move discussion toward transforming negative antisocial emotions and practices into positive prosocial ones. Okay, so here's the turning point. You're connecting things, you're turning it, you're connecting it to a real issue that you've selected, you're turning it, and then finally you're using strategies, right, in a more broad way to share with the rest of the class to move emotions in your area of concern from antisocial negative to prosocial positive. Don't beat yourselves up about this, okay? Now, if you look on the page, it does have the current directions of psychological science and stuff. There is a document there that will, and there is some information about how to tie it in. I have included that description about what I'm accepting in here. And finally, there seems to be in this site a place to submit your proposal and presentation. Now, I have not asked you to do a proposal because we've already basically settled on the proposal, which is to work with these different classes of emotions. So your presentation, I guess, I'm not exactly sure if I'm clicking on it right now. I'm looking through here. Remember evaluation. Okay. There should be a link somewhere here. If not, I will find a way for you. I will find an actual place for you to go ahead and link it up, because it doesn't look like it's linked up to an actual place where you can submit something. So I will go ahead and clear that up with Alyssa and figure out, basically, it should be a place where you can actually post a video. But other than that, that's going to be off in a little way. It's week 14. We're in the middle, I guess, of week 12 right now. You're going to be working through week 13 and posting on week 14, which is, well, let's see here. Today is the 20th. Oh, okay. We are in week 13. Okay, I'm losing it a little bit. Okay, so that would be, we've only got about another week to go then here. Okay, so let's go then. Let's get this going. And uh, and let's, if you have more additional questions, then let me know. Okay, so I'm going to just, as a way to wrap up this short presentation, go through the different weeks real quick on Blackboard Learn to give you an idea of what has been expected. I'm not going to be too worried about due dates on these. Just please get these into me. I'm clicking on week 11 now. Okay, there's an introduction, where I talk about self-care, motivation, and self-esteem being intimately related to completion of your goals. Again, here, self-care. Do not put extra stress on yourself here, okay? Use the materials in the class if you want to for your presentation, okay? Understand what I'm empathizing. Make a solid contribution and you should be fine, okay? So there was a little bit on discussion board about goal setting and striving, okay? That's to help you with your final paper to get an understanding about goals, okay? And then there was how to approach the group presentation. That was the sort of question of the week, and it really had to do with going through steps number 1 and 3 in your assignment, okay? Again, if you're worried about that, most of you should have solved this problem by now. You can do that either individually or as a group, and post the same paper for everybody in that one, or if you were really worried and couldn't get it together and some people weren't responding, you could do it individually and then come back and assemble it at the end. So let's go ahead and then I went ahead and provided the run through as I did before, okay? And that was it. That was or week 11. Here's week 12, okay? Clicking over here to group 12, how to transform negative self-views and develop capability. Again, you have a bit of an introduction. We're hitting the home stretch of the course. I'm showing you the different weeks, what we're doing in the different weeks, okay? Again, the discussion board is a little bit about transforming your negative self-views and developing capability. Again, I tried to say this and make it very clear to you in my video for weeks 12 and 13, okay? You don't have to write a lot on each of these. I have a lot in the description because I'm providing a lot in the way of examples, okay? But if you have a couple of lines for each one of these, okay, that's fine. You've done your job, okay? A couple of sentences. What is my issue or goal? You know, what's the one thing you want to work on? The one thing that you have had negative self-views toward and you really want to developing to real capability. You know, and then I say, when do you start now? There's almost nothing you have to do for this one, right? All it's saying is, I will stop, okay? And then finally, where did this negative self-view come from? This again gets at your sociocultural variables and some of the places where this came from. You've been doing this throughout the course, talking about traumatic instances you've had or parents that have judged you in certain ways, okay? And then why do you hold these? Now, this is an interesting new one, okay? I threw this in there because I want you to all realize that it's not a deficiency to have negative or antisocial views. Oftentimes, it's a very practical defense mechanism your body, your mind, and your heart uses so that you don't get in a hopeless situation and repeat mistakes. Unfortunately, a lot of times it downward spirals into you simply avoiding the issue altogether. This is the problem I had with a lot of the academic research. It was telling you how to avoid and control, not learn into the situation. This helps you learn into the situation by treating the negative emotion not as a threat, but as a learning entry point into positive transformation, which is this 5th step here. When I do this class in the future, I might make this the final assignment. It is really, really a cool cycle and way to do this. And I will emphasize again that this cycle requires a lot of, I guess I could do it the other way, it requires a lot of repetition repeatedly, at least 20 times research shows to get over an aversion. If you have a problem with singing in public, you probably have to karaoke 20 times before you become really comfortable with it. And it might feel like you're forcing yourself at first, but after a while you find out, hey, I actually like this. So that was the point of this, okay? And then, of course, the question of the week was getting through the other steps in your group assignment. So by the time you got to group 13, okay, we're going to go up here to course materials for weeks 13 through 16. By the time you got to work 13, now you have an entire work that's this week to assemble things, okay? If you were already a group and doing this, you probably have each contributed your stories. You've picked out the important points each person has wanted to contribute to an actual overall presentation, okay? And now you're editing the material together. Either people, like I said, you could have done separate things, like a couple of minutes of PowerPoint, or maybe a couple of minutes of photographing a collage that you made artistically, and then have someone in your group edit those pieces together into a full-scale documentary. So, okay, okay, I'm not going to, oops, okay. So, or again, the other option is if you did it individually at first, just because you were worried about getting the group together and you had trouble getting things together, then you can go ahead and allot the rules at the end. Maybe one person goes ahead and types up the different points of view, or one person assembles them, another person maybe types up the different points of view for each step, bringing in the individual contributions, and then another person maybe does the narration like I'm doing on this video with Screencast-O-Matic, making sure, again, it's under 15 minutes. Otherwise, you'll have to pay for it, okay? And I also wanted to remind you all, if you missed a couple of things, one, you can do the Rosie project either individually or as a group, okay? If you want to do it more of a group book discussion, but I will allow also individual response on that, okay? And you can turn that into me. And that can get you an extra 20 points. I also reserve the right to give you forgiveness on 2 of your assignments. We've had so much work in this class, so many different points of evaluation. I have no problem whatsoever doing that. So we're doing this. That's week 13, and again, weeks 14 and 15. 14 again is what you are, and all these are up and should be available for you. Okay, I've already released these. I have not released 15 and 16. Okay, as you can say, it will not be available until after April 25th. Okay, and I haven't reworked these yet. It still has the old title on it, okay? So if you see something weird that seems like it's from another class, just stick with the work templates, okay? And let me emphasize that, okay? And so basically, once you have presented your group, you just have your finals paper. And I used week 15 to do the review for your final paper and to provide you time to actually work on it. And then you turn it in Tuesday of the finals week. Okay, so you actually have an entire week to work on it. You have an entire week, extra week with no extra work to work on your group presentation, and the two other weeks, 11 and 12, were there to assemble the work for the group presentation. So I've really tried to build in time here for you to work on this. But basically that's it, okay? You're done after that. And, I'm hoping that you're doing well with this. Just see it as a learning experience. I'm not going to nail anyone for a real effort. If things just kind of go, you had individual, editing or whatever, and it was difficult or there was a technical snafu, we'll just do the best to get whatever material we can in. Hopefully it'll be in somewhat of a polished form. If you had trouble editing it, you can always do, even as a group, you can always do what I talked about in the individuals. Just have one person view the video, take notes, and then have them present it, okay? So as long, again, as there have been contributions from the group. Now, in weeks 14, I think it was, or 15, I had you comment on each other's presentation. Is it 14? Let me grow into 14 here. I think it might have been 14, okay? Yes. The reason why I'm not having you fill out a separate form is because it's part of the question. Like I said, this is the motto, trust yourself. Yeah, okay. So here I did with the discussions. What useful insights did you gain from each group presentation? So I know that you each watched the video, but it's a very simple assignment. You list and number each group. There should be 6 besides you. You watch each one, and you provide one important useful insight from each presentation and why you found it useful. So super simple discussion question. You've got basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, one useful insight, why you found it useful. You've got 12 sentences, you're done with your discussion of that group. And again, this is your feedback here. Your question of the week turns into your feedback. Instead of making you fill out a separate form, I'm just saying, what are the most important things you have learned from your group, other groups, and from this class? You're basically answering these 3 questions. And so instead of filling out a new form, I've collapsed it into your evaluation, your question of the week for that class. And then after that, you're pretty much off to the races. The last 2 weeks, going back up here to the course materials, okay, are not down on here yet, okay, all right. But I did kind of point them out here, okay. I have provided an outline for your goal paper. In fact, I could probably find that right now. Let's see here. Where's week 14 and 15? It's right up on my desktop here. Okay, here it is. And I'm going to go ahead and go on the work template. Okay, I have provided this for you on weeks 14 and 15 here, okay? Okay, here we are, okay? And I have the due dates there, right? Week 15. I have your description of your motion and motivation autobiography. That's the paper. That's a sort of goal paper, okay? Right? I even have a sample run through using my own goal, okay? To give you an idea of what it looks like, okay? So it's literally a kind of a template there which you can follow, okay? And I talk about extra credit, okay? So again, it's laid out for you. Again, have fun with this if you can, okay? I'm expecting you to make an honest effort and to really involve yourself with the material. I'm not wanting you to go crazy, okay? And if you have a worry, if things are getting out of you, you've got other classes, just simplify it. You don't need to have long, just good, simple, actionable, helpful points. Your brain doesn't remember all of that. They really focus on the things that that are the primary, most important things. So in your presentation, just focus, like I said, 2 or 3 important points per person is probably going to be adequate to fill up 10 to 15 minutes. On your paper, if you just go through the steps like I did, I almost had 1,250 words just with a basic presentation, okay? Trust yourself. Don't let events get away with you. Instead of controlling your emotions, see these assignments as a way to learn into these emotions. If you make a sincere effort, you've already got a lot of other evaluation points from the back of the class. These are just a kind of celebration or a wrap up, okay? And that's basically it. If you have any other questions, go ahead and hit me with the messages or an email. And I hope this has been helpful. Until next time, Zeus signing out.